Our next storyteller is an explorer who directs Ocean Exploration Trust and Exploration Vessel Nautilus's outreach strategy and media team, a scuba diver with over 500 hours spent underwater as compared to my measly 50, I think. Awarded a North America's Rolex Scholar by OWUSS and a guiding star for Women in Adventure by Sunto. Please welcome to the stage, Megan Cook.
Thank you. It was during my scholarship year that I walked down this long hallway in an academic building and into this dimly lit control room. And on a 2-story screen arcing up above me was a live video feed coming from a robot on the seafloor from a ship halfway around the world. And it was sand and sand and sand. But after talking with the team for a while and watching the sand, the lights came up over a little berm and spilled down the other side onto a pile of clay amphora, an ancient shipwreck that had been unseen for the last 20 centuries. And that was the 24th one they'd found that month. With giant eyes, I whipped around. Screen or not, I'd just been part of the thrilling discovery process of seeing something brand new for the very first time. And I was like, who are you people and how do I get on that ship? Well, I got on that ship. And for the last 12 years, I've worked there designing expeditions, over 130 of them, to go around the world, taking us to places in the ocean we've never seen before, discovering new species, revealing underwater landscapes, and most importantly, sharing it with the world, other people that want to be part of learning about this beautiful blue planet that we live on. In that time, I've had every job from communicator to crane driver, and along the way, I've been working towards building ocean exploration from a colonial old school thing where we go intrepidly into the world and we take the knowledge that we want to something that looks quite different, to something that looks more collaborative and cooperative and ethical. And when I got the first opportunity to lead an expedition, I was like, let's go. And I was given an incredible gift. I was given the chance to lead the team into one of the most sacred places on earth, Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument. This place is the ancestral realm of the Native Hawaiian people. It is one of the largest marine protected areas on earth, and it's the kind of place that you can only get to visit from decades of good reputation, years of Indigenous co-development, and months of filling out application permits. No pressure, first-time expedition leader. But I had a really great team with me. The team comprised people who had decades and days of experience. We were remotely operated vehicle pilots, interns, scientists, storytellers, artists, chefs, mariners. And I was so grateful that our team had Native Hawaiian cultural experts to guide us as guests in this place. And when we sailed into Papahanaumokuakea, chanting Oli of reverence and intention, I didn't ask for a good expedition. I just hoped that people would be safe and that the ocean had helped teach me what it was that I needed to learn. Because we had some really big plans. We had 30 days to travel 1,000 miles into the Central Pacific to visit an entire mountain range of undersea coral forests and ancient volcanoes. And it just happened to be that where we were going also was the footprint, the battleground of one of the most pivotal battles of World War II. There have been a lot of movies made about this, but the Battle of Midway and its horrors and its heroics sank 7 warships out in the same place. And after decades of searching, most of those are still missing. Because if you sink something 5,000 meters into the ocean, 3 miles, 50 football fields, however you like to measure, even something as big as an aircraft carrier is really difficult to find. Because going to the bottom of the ocean is hard. It's challenging, even on the best of days. We use deep diving specialist robots to go there. There are eyes into the deep, and they're tethered all the time back to the ship by a fiber optic cable. And we monitor the tension on that cable always because that is our precious link down into the deep. And the magical number is 20,000 pounds of cable tension. 20,000 pounds is 10 rhinos. Can you imagine 10 rhinos? Okay, now put all your rhinos together. And now take the weight of those rhinos as a force and have it be pulling on a fiber optic cable that is thinner than a strand of your hair. One of the first rules of expedition leading is to come home with as many robots as you left with. And so 20,000 pounds kind of became my North Star. No, I'd prepped really hard for this. We had spent months in conversations with funders and permitters and experts around the world and governments around the world. And I am a natural optimist, but I'd pretty much perfected so many downer caveats during all of these meetings because it was my role to make sure people had reasonable and conservative expectations. I gotta tell you all, the operational window is going to be very small, and I just think we should be thinking about that. It was lame. But I didn't want anybody to think they'd made the wrong choice by picking me. I didn't want to damage the trust that had been placed in me by my mentors. I didn't want to damage the trust that had been placed in our team by the Kanaka OEV community, gifting us access to this place. And I really didn't want to destroy a multi-million-dollar robot on my first time. I knew making the wrong choice could have disastrous consequences. And if proceeding respectfully in this space meant no aircraft carrier dives, that was a trade that I was fully willing to make. And we sailed on. About 3 days away from our targets, the team came to me and they discovered a critical error in a pressure housing on our deepest diving robot. And despite some really ingenious engineering, there's just some things you can't fix at sea. And it was an all stop on archaeology. I felt like I'd been looking for the red flags. And here it was. And I felt really grounded breaking the news to the team. There was nothing to be disappointed about getting to spend a month in this place, diving in the shallower, easier to reach depths, still a few miles beneath the waves. And then the next morning, the team came up to me with kind of a sheepish proposal. What if we broke the cardinal rule of diving in the buddy system? What if we just sent one robot instead? It was unconventional, but the math would math. And, I was both in love with how ingenious our team was and their passion, and I was also completely backsliding into my quagmire of uncertainty. I thought we had made this choice. I thought we had done it, and I thought the answer was no. And now, I woke up the next morning on site in an unbelievably, eerily calm ocean. I'd spent months visualizing this very moment, this dive, no dive decision. And in every one of those visualizations, the ocean waves had been massive. We were in the center of the Pacific. The answer was going to be an easy no. I was ready. I'd made peace with the fact that it was my job to stand there and be the leader that held the disappointment, the avalanche of disappointment, when the hype got too big and the letdown got too sharp. But I stood there looking out at the waves and looking for the answer, and I honestly couldn't explain how the conditions could get any nicer than they were. And the only way to test the cable tension is to put the robot in the ocean. And so we conducted our cultural protocol, and one single robot slipped off into the depths. Now, nothing in oceanography moves quickly. Robots descend at 30 meters a minute, which is about the speed of a runaway tricycle. So the slow-mo drama really sets in now. And with giant saucer-sized eyes, I sit down in front of this tension display, and off it goes. The ocean's driving at this point. At 500 meters, the tension looked good. At 1,000 meters, the tension looked good. At 1,500 meters, still good. At 2,500 meters, halfway there, we were halfway to our cable limit. We had 5 of those 10 rhinos. And with every single swell, the ship would rise, the tension would rise, and my stomach would come like right up into my throat. It was going to be close. The tension on the cable and on the ship were real high. At 4,000 meters, we gathered the department heads up in the control room to talk it out. The robot dangled a couple miles beneath us. And the tension readout was 9 3/4 rhinos. And then 9 7/8 rhinos. And then 9 3/4 rhinos. And it rose and it fell like an inhale and an exhale, admittedly much slower than the ones coming out of my chest. But each time it peaked out just below that critical limit. I'd really prepared to be the expedition leader when everything was going wrong. And I suddenly realized I wasn't sure that I hadn't lost the perspective of how to lead at this moment that everything seemed to be going right. Is the opposite of holding on to all of this control just like letting go of a little bit of it? Isn't being an explorer supposed to be about taking that one more step into the unknown? All the eyes circled back to me. And I realized what I needed to do at that moment was let go of any illusion of control I still thought I was holding. I needed to let go of just go with the ocean. I needed to let go and I needed to trust myself. And I needed to let go and I needed to trust my team. And so somebody said, "Is that a yes?" And I just said, "Let's go." And with the gift of the ocean, we got to spend 3 spectacular days and 3 spectacular dives with the privilege of doing the first 3 complete archaeological dives on 3 carriers from the Battle of Midway. With over 1 million people watching, we got to elevate the sacredness of Papahanaumokuakea and honor the stories of service and sacrifice that'll be forever there in those depths. And however noteworthy that isn't the reason I wanted to tell you all this story. I'd asked the ocean to tell me and help teach me what it was that I needed to learn. And I don't think luck is exactly just preparation and opportunity. I think it's also about paying attention. Paying attention when it all comes together. Paying attention to those moments where the real gifts, where the world is cooperating with you and working with you, where even if by the slightest of little margins, something really spectacular could happen. And when the world says yes to you, you've just got to say, "Let's go."
And everybody.
Keep it going. See, I just want to point out something about the magic of storytelling here. Did you guys hear the way this whole room gasped when she said the phrase 9 3/4 rhinos? Did you hear yourselves? That was amazing. That was terrific. Thank you, Mick.
That was awesome. My heart is still in my mouth. Let's take a 5-minute intermission, just a little stretch break, and we'll see you back here in 5 minutes for the second half.